The next topic in our coverage of the RxJava observable class are combining operators. And again, this is the first part of other things we'll cover later in later case studies. Combining operators create an observable from multiple iterations or multiple sources. And we're going to talk here about the repeat and merge with operators. And you'll definitely need to know merge with for the programming assignment you're working on. Let's start by talking about repeat. So the repeat operator returns an observable that repeats the sequence of items emitted by the given observable at most times number of times. So times is the parameter. And this is a little bit quirky. The semantics are a little quirky, but the parameter results in times plus 1 total subscriptions to the original source. And as a consequence, using 0 plays the original sequence once. I do not know why they have that as the semantic, but that's what they do. And it returns a new observable instance that will emit the previous data times. This operator does not operate by default on a particular scheduler. It works on whatever scheduler it comes from, whatever scheduler is currently in effect. So here's an example where we're going to, this is kind of interesting, check this out. We're going to use the from callable operator. If you recall, that's lazy. And from callable is going to go ahead and call this make big fraction factory method, which will generate a big fraction randomly every time it's called. And we're going to say, take this observable and repeat it this number of times. And so that should, I suppose, do it 5 times. If the documentation is to be believed, that would be something you should check out to make sure what it does. So generate 4 random, I should probably say 5 random reduced big fractions. And basically what this does is each time it runs, it'll get you a different big fraction because from callable is going to be a lazy invocation. If we use just here, then it would return the same big fraction each time, the number of times we asked for. Project Reactor has a repeat operator that works exactly the same. And there is no repeat operator with Java streams. Honestly, it's a little bit esoteric, but I have some fun examples that demonstrate how it works. The merge with operator is a lot more useful. What it does is it merges the sequence of items from the observable prior with the success value of the other parameter. In other words, what comes out. And the parameter that's passed here is the observable source to merge with. So remember, this is a non-static method, so it'll be called on an observable. So we'll say, observable.mergeWith, and then we'll give it the other observable. So both things will be kind of glommed together. And it returns the new merged observable instance. So it'll be the two things combined together. This operator, the merge with operator, combines items emitted by multiple observable sources so they appear as a single observable source down the rest of the stream. And here's a very simple example, which is actually quite similar to what you have in your programming assignment. We're going to get 2 observables here, and then we're going to say merge observable 1 with observable 2 and create a new observable that's the merged observable. The merging may or may not interleave the items. It all depends largely on whether you're doing this in parallel and how quickly the items are emitted and so on and so forth. If you don't want to have potential interleaving, so if you take a look here, you can see that we've got 2 observables and they're interleaving their results there so that we have red followed by yellow, followed by green, followed by blue, and so on. If you don't want interleaving, then use concat_with. So concat_with will take all the ones from the first element, the first observable, put it in the merged observable, followed by all the ones in the second observable. So concat_with avoids interleaving. In practice, you just have to decide whether you care about interleaving. Not doing or doing interleaving is often more efficient because you can just merge things as they're emitted, whereas with concat, you have to kind of buffer them up till everything's done with the first one, then you have to put all the rest behind it. Project Reactor has a merge with operator that works essentially the same way. Interestingly enough, the streams framework has a concat method that works kind of like concat-with. And this is a really fun little example here. So what this is going to do is this is going to take a list of strings and a value n, and it's going to go ahead and return a concatenated list that has the first list, L, concatenated n times. And the way it does it is it makes an empty stream, and then we iterate using a loop, counting down, and each time we're going to go ahead and concatenate the list to the end of the first list by saying L.stream over and over again, and that becomes the new stream. And when we're all done, we go ahead and collect the results into a list. So that's the end of our first discussion of combining operators. There's a bunch of other combining operators we'll talk about later that are really cool, and we'll discuss them. They're actually also, I believe, used in your upcoming assignment.